I think we can start with the webinar. Meanwhile, the introduction is happening. The students can still join. So a very good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, Everything About Placement Interviews, brought to you by Ballari Institute of Technology and Management in association with WAV. So we have with us Mr. Hemant Kumar RK, Assistant Professor and Secretary of BITM Alumni Association, and Mr. Vishnukant Karwa, Assistant Professor and Treasurer of BITM Alumni Association. So Mr. Hemant Kumar sir wants to speak a few words to the students.
Morning one and all. We are very thankful to the WAP team and also the today's special speaker, Mr. Abhilash Verma, placement and trainer and founder of the Chanakya. And also he has passed out batch of 2012 from the BITM. And I would like to thank from the BITM Alumni Association as well as from the BITM Ballari Institute of Technology and Management for his accepting our invitation, and also from the Huawei team who has come up with a new idea as to in this pandemic COVID-19 situation, in order to drive the placement activities from to the students and also motivating them to the upcoming campus interviews and all. And once again, I thank to the WAV team as well as the speaker of the today webinar, Mr. Abhilash Verma. Thank you from the BITM as well as from the BITM Alumni Association. Over to Madam.
Okay. Well, we also have Mr. Abhilash Verma, who is an alumnus of BITM from the class of 2012. So let me talk a few words about a speaker for the day, Mr. Abhilash. So Abhilash has worked as a head of aptitude department in ABC for technology training for a duration of 10 months and handled a team of 6 members, which is responsible for aptitude and reasoning training across all branches of ABC. He has worked as a consultant for various companies in improving the sales of an organization. He, as a freelancer, has an experience of more than 7 years in quantitative aptitude and analytical reasoning training in more than 100 colleges across India. He has worked as a retainer with the Innovations Unlimited Training Services, Bengaluru, as an aptitude trainer. He trained engineering and PG students in more than 60 colleges across Maharashtra and Karnataka on topics such as number systems, percentages, profit and loss, interests, permutations and combinations, probability, etc., were some of the assigned modules. As a program manager, he has handled several programs in various colleges. Also, he has received appreciation for best performance in quantitative aptitude during multiple programs. He is also the founder of Chanakya in Ballari. He is involved in training students for banking and other competitive exams. Besides managing operations, he also trains them on quantitative aptitude and analytical reasoning. At Chanakya, students get trained on non-formula techniques through conceptual ideas. They are trained to simplify the major calculations using Vedic mathematics as a tool. Before I hand over to Mr. Abhilash, so I would like to inform the attendees that an e-certificate shall be issued to all those who have stayed for 80% of the webinar, and also attendees can use the Q&A section to ask any questions. They'll be answered at the end of the session. So yeah, over to you, Abhilash sir.
Thank you, Bhagyashree. Thank you, Mr. Hemant Kumar. And also I would like to thank BITM, which is my own college where I have studied and passed out in 2012. Well, you already heard about me. Bhagyashree has already told everything about my profile. So I've been a placement trainer for more than 7 years, training across India in various states and various engineering colleges. Well, firstly, I would like to welcome all the attendees here to the webinar on placements. Now, let me share my screen with you so that I can give you more details. Great. So today's topic is placements of future. Well, you being studying for 16 years, from past 16 years, right? So 10 years of school, and then 11 and 12, and after that 3 years of graduation or 4 years of graduation. But what is the final destination of this journey? Well, that particular destination is placements. So this is the point where we all wanted to reach, and for that we have invested 16 years of our life. Now, among the students, like where I have trained, so many of them, even today, they call and I'll ask a single question. The question is, so can I get a job in the current situation? Well, to know the answer for this question, I want you to stick through this webinar, because the answer cannot be given in the one word. There are various aspects we have to consider so that we can come to the common conclusion by the end of the webinar. So in this webinar, I will be talking about types of the placement drives and the myths of the campus recruitment, the current situation of the market, and what are the bright spots you can look for. Also, the different employability assessment tests that you can consider, and the final preparation strategy. Now, how do you prepare for the placements? Now, starting with, have you ever heard this phrase called life set ho jayega? Of course you would have. But can you recall when was the first time you heard this? Well, if I'm not wrong, this is in the very first class of your 10th standard. When the first teacher walks into the class, the very introduction is about this particular phrase. And what was it? He would have told us, in fact, most of the teachers would have told us that, forget about whatever you have done till now. So this is the most important part of your life, the most important step. Now, if you succeed here, aapka life set ho jayega. Well, was that the only time? No. How about 12th standard? Exactly the same words, but by a different person, a different lecturer. And again, by the parents, when you're preparing for your common entrance test. Was it the end? No. One more time. At the very beginning of your engineering, the first professor who comes to your class, the first introduction is all about life set ho jayega. So this is the most important step of your life. So if you succeed here, aapka life set ho jayega. Did it really happen? In fact, not yet. Now, one last time you'll hear this during your campus recruitment training. Now, even during the campus recruitment training, the first thing the trainers tell is work hard here. So this is the final year of your engineering. If you perform well here, definitely aapka life set ho jayega. Now, this particular question, when will we get placed? This particular question has never been answered properly. Everyone been telling us that this is the important step, this is the important step, and this is the important, and they're right, absolutely. So every part of our education, like 10th to 12th, engineering, campus recruitment training, everything is important. But none of these steps have reached the final destination yet. And what is that final destination? Placements. Now, we spent all the 16 years for this one word, placements, to get a job. But what is the current situation? Can we get a job? Let us see. Before that, let me tell you few things about the campus recruitment. So there are different types of recruitments. If you can see here, there is on campus, off campus, full campus, job fairs, referral drives, employability assessment tests, and the government jobs. So if you look at the first four, on campus is something where a company comes to your college or company associates come to your college and they will hire you through a process. And the off campus is you apply directly to the company if there are any openings, and then you'll attend the interview in the company itself. And the third one, pool campus. The pool campus is something where company conducts this interview by inviting 4 to 5 engineering colleges, or it can be more than that. And another one is job fairs. Now, usually these job fairs are conducted by a college or a local politician or a particular company where they invite many companies, usually more than 10 companies will come and they will hunt for the students. Now, if you observe, these first four are out of options for us. Now, these four are things of past, at least for now, or maybe for another 1 year, because there cannot be any physical interview at this situation. So what are you left with? A referral drive. Now, what is a referral drive? A referral drive is basically the company lets its employees to refer someone. So an employee working under an organization can refer different people. So if you get that referral, you can attend the interview. So those are referral drives. And we'll talk more about it later. And employability assessment test. So you will see what are these employee assessment tests in another couple of minutes. And the last one is government jobs. Well, the government jobs is one thing that when you are in the college, you are least told about. And in fact, when I was in engineering, I didn't even know about these jobs. Now, what are these government jobs? There are many. Like you can say railways, you can say you can talk about banking jobs, you can talk about SSC, civil services, that is UPSC or KPSC, or you can even look for the armed forces. So there are many government jobs and we will talk about them as well in future. So these are the different drives that will happen once you come to the final year of your graduation, be it engineering or any other graduation. Now, before explaining that, let me talk about the myths about the placement training. Now, the common myths are 60% is mandatory. Well, most of the companies, when I said most of the companies, these are not all the companies. Most of the companies expect 60% throughout. That is 10th, 12th, and your engineering. And some companies expect only in the engineering, and some companies expect 70% throughout or 70% engineering and all. But it is not mandatory for all the companies. Well, from the very beginning of the semester, your graduation, the very first semester, since from this first semester, you've been drilled about maintain that 60%, maintain that 60%. Well, if you are in second year and if you don't have 60%, still there are a lot of chances to bring it up. Now, if you are in third year, slightly difficult. Now, if you're fourth year, I wouldn't like to talk about it. But another point, what I want to tell you is, all the companies don't want the 60% is mandatory. Do not come under the misconception that if you don't have 60%, you don't get a job. Or you have 60% in 12th and engineering, but you don't have in 10th standard. And yes, of course, many companies doesn't consider you, but still there are many more companies which doesn't even ask for any of the criteria. So we call them non-criteria companies. So all you need to do is a search. Now, where do you search? Now, I need not to tell you the names of the companies here because you're living in the era of the internet. If you just Google something like non-criteria companies, you will get a big list of the companies which has students without asking any criteria. Now, talking about backlogs. So you should not have any backlogs. If you have any active backlogs, then you are not eligible. Well, once again, this applies to certain number of companies, not all. For example, if you consider TCS. So TCS Ninja is one of the employability tests where they still allow you to have 2 existing backlogs, but they will give you a certain period of time within which you have to finish them. So do not come under the impression that if you have any current backlogs, you cannot attend any of the interviews. And the third one, yearbacks. Yes, again, most of the companies doesn't allow yearbacks. But again, if you take TCS allows 1 year back. And there are many other companies, they'll allow yearbacks, provided you come up with the proper reason for your yearback. And the last one, communication. So if you don't speak in English, you don't get a job. Well, this is 90% right, but not absolutely. Well, the communication plays the major role in the hiring process, because once you join the company, most of your conversations or communication with your colleagues or with your higher authorities or your associate, it should happen in English, because this is one of the language which is globally accepted, and your clients and most of your clients will be from the different countries, and the common mode of the communication with them is English. So this is the very first thing that is expected from every student. But if you are not good in communication, it doesn't mean that you don't get a job at all. Now, provided if you have exceptional skills, exceptional technical skills, still the part of the communication can be excluded. Now, again, that depends on your technical skills. Now, and the final one, yes, course completion is mandatory. You cannot join a company without without finishing your course. Even when you have the backlogs, if they're allowed by the company, make sure that you finish all your backlogs before joining the company. So going ahead, let us talk about what is the current situation. Now, give me a moment. Yeah. Now, another 5 minutes from now will be slightly disappointing to you because of the news which I'm going to share with you. Well, you all know what is the current situation. The lockdown is being removed in phases, but the damage has already been done. There are many companies which are severely affected by this COVID-19. In fact, few of the companies are the verge of closing down. And like companies like mainly travel industries, like if you consider in the travel industry, if I talk about airlines, so there is literally zero business, and many have already laid off too many employees. And other things are automobile. Now, automobile, the sales has gone down like anything. Like if you just look at this picture. So this is just an example that I'm talking about the automobile industry. Now, if you see here in July 2019, the sales of the different companies, that is Suzuki, Hyundai, Mahindra, Hero MotoCorp, and Hero Motorcycle. So these are the sales of July 2019. Whereas this shows the sales in June 2020. If you can see, there is a literally more than 50% drop in the sales. Well, the drop in the sales obviously directly impacts the hiring as well as a continuation with the existing employees. Now, that is the reason why I told the automobile industry has been severely affected. And apart from that, of course, entertainment, hospitality, real estate, brick and mortar, and there are many of the list is endless. In fact, 90% of industries are affected due to this COVID. And of course, our IT is not exempted here. Now, why I tell IT is not exempted here? Now, if you see, most of the IT employees currently having a work from home option. But still, there are many layoffs in the major companies. One such example is IBM. IBM has already laid off 2,000 employees. Another one, Cognizant, CTS. Cognizant clearly told there are 18,000 people in the bench. It means they do not have any project. And most of these are at risk of losing their jobs. So this is the current situation. Then what do we do? Are we not going to get a job? Let us see what we can do. What are the options we have? The first and the most important thing is stop listening to all this kind of news, including whatever I told you till now. Because I say do not quit even before trying. So what else you can do? Bright spots. Look at the bright spots. Well, one article which says TCS, Infosys, HCL, and others plan to hire over 1 lakh new employees. Now, this news is released actually in the July itself. And what I am showing you here is the article which is shared on 5th August, hardly 4-5 days ago. Now, in fact, if I talk about one particular company, TCS itself has told that it is going to hire 40,000 employees into 2020 through its employable accessibility test called TCS Ninja, and I will be talking about that as well. Now, what are the other bright spots? Well, you have to come out of the traditional way of thinking that, dreaming about the same IT jobs. Like you can be a developer, you can be a tester, you can be a web developer, because these are the only common options most of the students know. But there are many other options which many of them haven't even heard about. The very first example is digital marketing. Now, what exactly is this digital marketing? If you don't have any idea about it, a simple example I would like to tell. Let us say, just open the Google and you search about some product. Let us say you want to purchase a hard disk. Just search 1 terabyte hard disk. And then you open your Facebook. You would have seen an ad about the hard disk. But you actually searched it in the Google. But now you're seeing an ad about the hard disks. Now let us say I searched about hosting options in Google. Now when I open my Facebook or Instagram, the primary ads what I get are all about these hosting websites. Now this is a part of digital marketing. And the second one is a data analyst. Well, you might have heard about a phrase called a data is a new oil. And in fact, data analyst job is hailed as sexiest job of the 21st century. Now why? Because of the packages what you get once you enter data science. The other things, the booming ones, hot cakes of the market currently, artificial intelligence. Every automobile company is looking for this artificial intelligence. Cloud services like AWS, Amazon Web Services, Azure. Now, during this COVID, if there are any particular companies which are thriving, I will give the first example as the cloud services like AWS and Azure. Well, there are many other cloud services like you can see pCloud, you can see Vimeo. So these are the companies which provide cloud storage, online cloud storage, and even Apple has its own. So like the business in these companies are thriving like anything. And of course, thanks to the COVID-19, because in the current situation, the most of the people, particularly teachers, trainers, and lecturers, now what do? They turn online. If they want to turn online, they need storage, cloud storage. And where do you get it? You get it from these cloud services. And the employability options in these particular companies is enormous. I can see many number of people who are actually entering into the companies which are providing the cloud services. Now, another thing is web development. Now, if you see, every person who lost a job, if I take 3 people, out of every 3 people, 1 person is launching his own website. Now, the demand for the web developers has been never this high before. And the other ones, content developers. Now, what do you mean by content developers? Now, content developers are like when somebody builds a website, now you need to put a content to the website. Or when I'm building an online course, I need someone to provide an online content for my course. Even if you take, well, this is not the new job. In fact, if you take up entertainment industry or news channels, the news channels will have their own content developers. And the last one is functional roles in education and teaching. Online, in fact, I forgot to mention that it's basically online education and teaching. The most of the articles suggest that the online education has seen a rise of more than 100% in last couple of months. Yes, there are many companies who are looking for the trainers who can teach online or who can develop a content for teachers. Well, you might be thinking, how can I become a trainer without even finish my engineering? Yes, of course you cannot. But we are talking about the jobs of future once you finish your graduation. So these are a few of the bright spots you have to consider. You have to upskill yourself. You have to think about the other option. You cannot just rely on the same programming languages or web services, what you have learned, or web applications, or what you learn in the engineering. So going ahead, we have, where do I search for these jobs? Of course, the common answer, what I can say is explore. Once again, as I told you earlier, this is an era of internet. You just type it into Google what all the different options you have. Now, in fact, you can actually contact me personally. I can give you few options. Now, for now, let me show you few existing options what you have. One, referral drives. Now, this is where your seniors come into picture. Well, many of your seniors who are already working in the organizations, and of course, the organizations have already started hiring, but the hiring doesn't happen like what it used to happen earlier. The hiring usually happens through the virtual drives. Now, what are these virtual drives? Now, till now, in the campus recruitment, as I told you earlier, the companies used to come to your college and conduct the drives, but it doesn't happen anymore, at least for another 1 year. Then how does this placements happen? Virtual drives. Now, virtual drives can happen through your college, or it can happen through referral drives. So when, as I told you earlier about the referral drives, when there is an opening or when there are certain number of openings in the company lets its employees to refer few people. So in fact, many of my friends, so when I finished my engineering, so including my own sister, was placed through these referral drives. So this is the reason why you have to always be in touch with the seniors. So these are the ones who are going to help you with the referral drives. The other one is employment accessibility tests, which I have already mentioned in the beginning. So what are they? Like what I've mentioned here: AMCAT, eLitmus, CoCubes, TCS Ninja, InfyTQ, Wipro National Talent Hunt, And there are many more, like Tech Mahindra has its own, and you can have Metal as well. Well, if you see the first three options, MCAT, eLitmus, and CoCubes, many of the colleges have made it mandatory for the students to take up these exams. But the seriousness among the students about is very less. And I have seen it with my own eyes. And I would have told in every single class of mine, when I'm training in engineering colleges particularly, please do go with MCAT and eLitmus. In fact, MCAT and MCAT itself is the biggest employable accessibility test. It has more than 700 companies. More than 700 companies today are hiring through MCAT, and I'll give you more details about it as well. Now, about eLitmus, this is actually the first test in India which has started. So when it was started, this was the biggest test in entire India. Now, like at the time, there were no other tests like MCAT and CoCubes, and even today, eLitmus is one of the most preferred tests. Now, about that, I will be talking about in another couple of minutes. The other things is TCS Ninja, InfyTQ, Wipro. Now, earlier, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, these companies, basically these are called the mass recruiters. Other mass recruiters are Accenture, HCL. Now, these companies used to go to college and hire the students. But from the last couple of years, in fact, Infosys from 2019 itself, they have started a national level eligibility test. Trust me, this has been a boon. This has become a boon for the students. Why? You need not to wait for the company to come to your college now. You can prepare or you can apply for these companies even though the company doesn't come to your college. Yes. So search for like the exams what I have mentioned here, TCS Ninja, InfyTQ, Wipro National Talent Hunt. And apart from that, you can look for the Accenture as well. You can look for HCL as well, Tech Mahindra also. So all these companies have their own national eligibility tests where you can directly apply to the company and you will be going through a series of tests. Started with the very first one will be the online exam. So once you clear that, there is the other processes as well, which I'll be telling later. Now, going ahead, let me talk a little more about this MCAT, eLitmus, and CoCubes. How do you choose among these three? See, as I'm telling you again, campus placements cannot happen at the situation. Virtual drives may happen, but not at the same scale like in the previous year. One of the best possible solution for you is employment accessibility tests like MCAT, eLitmus, and CoCubes. Now, if you ask me, which one should I write? Well, I suggest you to go through all. But if you're looking for any particular test, I've clearly mentioned what are the different things these companies are offering. Now, in fact, if we talk about MCAT, or let's say, if we talk about packages, MCAT, eLitmus, and CoCubes, the average package in the MCAT, the companies which hire through MCAT is 3 to 6 lakhs, eLitmus 3 to 12 lakhs, and CoCubes 3 to 8 lakhs. Well, examination fees that also I have already mentioned here. Now, how do you select this? Well, you see, MCAT has more than 700 companies. Now, any of the fresher, be it an engineering graduate, BPM, BCom, or MBA, any of the graduate or a postgraduate can find the companies in MCAT. Whereas eLitmus mainly concentrates on IT industry. Now, coming to the CoCubes also mainly concentrate on IT, but of course it has many core companies like that's L&T, it has Mahindra and Mahindra, and many more. So particularly if you are from a mechanical background, or if you are from EEE or electronics and communications, if you're looking for the core companies, I suggest you go through CoreCubes. When I say go through CoreCubes, it doesn't mean that you need not to look into MCAT and eLitmus. And of course, these exams as well have the core companies, but CoreCubes has more number of the core companies. Now again, validity of the test. Now if you write MCAT, your score is valid for 3 years. That means you can get the calls from the companies for 3 years based on your score. Now, whereas in eLitmus, the validity of your score is 2 years, whereas in CoreCubes, it is only 1 year. Now, few will be actually thinking, like many of my friends have written, in fact, I myself have written MCAT, but I didn't get many of the calls from the companies through these exams. Guys, understand, your scores matter a lot when you are going through these exams. Now, if you want me to tell you the actual numbers for MCAT, a good score is 1500, whereas eLitmus doesn't have a score, but it talks about the percentile, and the good percentile for eLitmus is more than 80%. And likewise, CoreCubes, for CoreCubes, better score is at least 550 marks. So these are the, in fact, I can tell these are, I can say criteria for the companies to call you. And of course, there are different ways of choosing the criteria. I'm just talking here about the overall score. That is 1500 plus for MCAT, in eLitmus 80 percentile, and in CoreCubes 550. These are considered as better scores. Now, if you have more than these scores, definitely you'll get a call from one other company. So moving ahead. So how should I prepare? What is the process? What are the things that I need to prepare for these exams or any of the other placements? Well, usually there will be 3 to 5 rounds in any of the company. The very beginning one is online exam. Now this exam usually consists of quantitative aptitude, analytical reasoning, and verbal ability. So these 3 are common in any of the placement paper. You take any company, these 3 are the common ones. You don't find a placement paper without these 3 subjects. So apart from them, there will be a technical ability and a programming round if you're looking for an IT job. Now, GK, general awareness or general knowledge, well, you don't find it in 90% of the companies, but few companies in CoreCubes expect a general knowledge as well. So that is the reason why I mentioned. So these are the subjects that you need to prepare for. So followed by the second round will be group discussion. Now again, at the current situation, group discussion won't be part of this placement process in most of the companies, because for the group discussions, you mainly need physical appearance. But when there are no physical interviews, you cannot expect much of the group discussions. And the third one, technical interviews. So these technical interviews, again, it depends on which stream you are from. If you are from engineering, it depends on which background you are from, be it computer science or electrical engineering or electronics or mechanical engineering, right? Now, like other streams, like you can, if it is from BBM, they can ask about the finance and marketing. If you're from the BCom, they can talk about the accounts. So technical completely depends on your academic subjects. And the final one is HR interview. Now, how do you prepare for the HR interview? I will talk about it in brief again. Now, so next thing, when should I start? When should I start my preparation for these exams? Well, there is no predefined time. Now, when The most common things that happen with the students is when they think about the placement preparation, first thing they do is they go and purchase R.S. Agarwal book and they start preparing. And of course, they do it only for 1 or 2 chapters. End of the case. This is the most common mistake done by most of the students. Look, you cannot really start preparing for the placement only once you come to the 6th semester or 7th semester, because it actually depends on individuals, because everyone cannot be Amir Khan of 3 Idiots where you just go into the interview and crack it, right? So ability differs. So where do you start from? Now, how do you prepare? How much you should learn every day? How many months of preparation you need? Now, the first thing about, when I come back here, the online exam, this is your first step of the preparation. So in this, you mainly prepare for quantitative aptitude, analytical reasoning, and verbal ability. Just a moment, please. Now, going ahead. So as I told you, the first round is online exam, where you'll be dealing with the quantitative aptitude, analytical reasoning, and verbal ability, which is common for all the exams. Now, you have to first know which is the subject you are good at and where you are lagging. So for example, few students are naturally good in mathematics and few are very good with verbal. Now, always start from the subject where you are lagging. For example, if I talk about students who are from the rural part or rural background, many of them lack in verbal ability, their communication. So this is the place where you have to focus more on. And of course, mathematics is a nightmare for most of the students. If that is the case, I tell you to start preparing from the quantitative aptitude. Well, of course, there will be a campus recruitment training in every college, right? Now, this training usually happens for 10 days, where you will be trained in a stretch for 10 days, and then you'll be allowed to have interviews. If you ask me, is this sufficient to attend the interviews? My answer is no. Why? Guys, understand, in 10 days, you cannot learn all the 3 subjects and enter the placement interviews. You need months of preparation for this. In fact, few colleges train the students for the placements from the very first year, and few colleges train them only in the final year or at the end of the 3rd year. Now, by not depending on the college, it's your responsibility to take the step. You cannot wait for the training to start in your college. Well, when I talk about preparation for these things, students come up with the answers such as, we have too many other things to do. Like we have to prepare for internals, we have to prepare for externals, we have to prepare for labs, we have to write the assignments, records are too many. Guys, one simple question. Why are you preparing for all this? With your internals, externals, your subjects, your labs. Isn't it all this preparation only for your placements? That is the point where you want to reach. Now you're doing all these works to reach to that point, but you are forgetting the primary preparation itself. You cannot neglect these subjects only because you have too many other subjects to deal with. So all of the subjects, your academic subjects, lead to one point, that is placements, and these three are one of the most important subjects for the placements. You cannot come up with a reason of your academic subjects and neglect these three. Now, if you are a second year student, I suggest to start from right away. Now, if you are a third year or a fourth year students, you actually have to spend a lot of time, because the competition what you have right now is uncomparable. When I talk about competition, what we had during our time. Every year, more than 18 lakh engineers are coming out of the colleges across India. I'm just talking about engineers, not the other graduates. Then you can think about it. One example, if I talk about, if I take SBI PO exam. So every year, usually we get 2,000 applications. So 2,000 openings. For those 2,000 openings, there will be more than 80 lakh application, and that's the level of the competition what I'm talking about. So in 2018, so one recruitment process has become viral across India. There was a drive, HCL drive in Chennai for 500 posts, but the number of applicants and the queue for this particular post, 500 post, has crossed more than 2 kilometers. More than 2 kilometers queue. The students are waiting just to give their applications. So that is the level of competition what I'm talking about. Now, if you think that you can finish your third year and then I can start my preparation for the placements, think about where do you stand in this level of competition. Now, again, when I have already mentioned about an eligibility test, that is national level eligibility test of TCS, Infosys, and Wipro. Now, these are the tests which are conducted across India. Now, in these tests, the number of students will not be in hundreds or thousands, they will be in the lakhs. So you will be competing among the lakhs of the students. It means you have to be the best among them to be hired. So if you want to be the best, you cannot prepare like you prepare for your internals. That is 2 days before the internals we start your preparation. Externals, maybe 1 week before the externals we start our preparation. You cannot have this kind of a preparation for the placements. This should actually go over a period of time. Should actually start the very second year. Now, the second thing in the preparation is which are the chapters I should consider. For example, if I talk about quantitative aptitude, there are 15 to 20 different chapters. Like few examples are number system, percentage, profit and loss, simple interest, compound interest, time and work, time, speed and distance. Look, if you are preparing for each and every topic, trust me, you are no less than a fool. Your preparation must be smart. You cannot prepare each and every chapter, because in quantitative aptitude, as I told you, there are 15 to 20 chapters. In analytical reasoning as well, there are 15 to 20 chapters. And verbal ability, there is no certain number of chapters here. What you have to do is go through the different placement papers. Look at the weightage. For example, if you are aiming MCAT, logarithms play main role. Time, speed, and distance. Now, if you look at e-litmus or InfyTQ, syllogisms play major role. So you have to give the importance to a particular chapter based on its weightage, the particular exam you are looking for. So you never need to prepare more than 10 topics for any particular company. So to do that, the first thing you need to do is decide which company or which test you're taking. Now, put your time only for that particular exam. Do not try to chase all the exams at a time. Yes, there should be a common preparation, but aim for one particular exam. For example, if you're aiming for MCAT, go through the previous papers. Read about the experiences of the students who have already taken MCAT exam. You can just type in Google like experiences of MCAT exam. You will find hundreds of students posting their experience. Learn from their mistakes. Why couldn't they score? Why couldn't they get that 1500? So again, of course, there will be, you have to concentrate on sectional cutoff as well. For example, if I take about one example is quantitative aptitude. For engineering, the good score in quantitative aptitude is 450. And any other graduation, that is 380. For MBA students, that is 400. So you need to know all these aspects, the sectional cutoffs, the main cutoffs, and the number of applicants, and the companies which are hiring through MCAT. Now, if you have any dream company, check out if that particular company is hiring through MCAT or not. So these are the things you need to consider before you start the preparation. Do not blindly start with any of the particular subject and then think about the companies. So first thing you need to do is decide which company or which exam you want to take and read about it completely. That is, it's a syllabus, it's a sectional cutoffs, timing, everything, and then start your preparation. And the next thing which I would like to talk about is which company do I prefer? Should I go with, give me a moment, please. Coming to the question and answer, people, I'll be getting back to that again. I'll give you the time for the question and answers, and then I'll be answering your questions. Okay. Now, so coming to how do you choose a company? So we discussed about when I should start and what is your strategy. Now, how to choose a company here? Should I choose MNC or should I choose a startup? Should I sign the bond or should I not? Should I be ready with the relocation or not? Well, these are your personal preferences. Now, few people doesn't want to sign any bond. And are there any companies who doesn't ask for any sign? Yes, of course, for example, CTS. CTS doesn't ask any bond to sign from the students. And apart from that, most of the companies, particularly freshers, there will be a bond of at least 2 years. So you should decide whether you are ready to sign the bond or not. Now, again, talking about whether it is an MNC or a startup. Well, again, there is two ways of thinking about it. Now, if you're looking for a secure job, you just need a job and you want it to be secure. Well, I suggest you to go for MNCs. But if you want a challenging job, if you want to decide your growth, I suggest you to go for startups. Why? Let me explain this in a simple way. In an MNC, when you put into a project, the project will be usually huge. There'll be many number of employees and you will be doing a very small part of it. And you don't know anything much about the project except your part. And you'll finish your part and you will give it to your higher authorities. This is how it works in MNCs. But startups, the startups work with a less number of resources. That is less number of employees. So you will get in the startups, the workload will be huge compared to the MNCs. Sometimes you need to work on weekends as well. But by the end of the project, or when you're working on a project, you won't be working just on the small part of the project. You will be working in the major share of the project. Sometimes you will be doing your own project, which usually does not happen in MNCs. So when you work in the startups, your skills on the applications or your skills on the platform, what you're working, increases or grows immensely when compared to the MNCs. So that is the reason why I told you to go with startups if you want to decide your own growth. Now, talking about finally HR interviews. Now, what are these HR interviews? HR interview is the final part of your interview process. So once you clear the online exam, group discussion, and technical interviews, you come to the HR interview. And the common questions are like, tell me about yourself. Why should we hire you? Are you ready to relocate? And there are many other questions. Well, to explain that, I have to make another video or I have to make another webinar for that. So I would like to not go much deep into the HR interviews, but I will tell you a few points which are important for the HR interviews. Now, HR interviews, the mainly they concentrate on your personality. When I say about personality, it is not about your physical personality. It is about your communication and your willingness to work with the company and your willingness to take the extra responsibilities given to you and your attitude, whether you can be a good team member or not. So these are the main aspects that a HR will consider when they're hiring you in the last part of the interview. So this is everything that I wanted to tell you in this webinar. Well, I hope this particular webinar and the things what I have told you is useful to you. And if you have any queries, of course, you can always contact me, of which details I will give you in another couple of minutes. And finally, one point for this preparation, do you need to purchase any books? Do you need to purchase any online courses? Or do you need to join any institutes? Again, it depends. If you think you're good at self-learning, you need not to purchase a single book. While there are hundreds of websites which will give you free content to learn all this subject, be it aptitude, be it reasoning, or be it verbal ability, you can find everything for free, provided you have the self-motivation of learning. Now, if you think you need more motivation, I suggest you to join an institute or to purchase an online course, or at least spend a proper time in campus recruitment training. Now, few websites which if you want me to suggest, there are many websites like Freshers World, Career 360, Bankers Adda 24/7. So there are many websites which will give you the free content to prepare, and of course you will get many test papers as well, so that you can check where you are standing at the current level. So based on the results, you can decide and you can strategize your further preparation. And of course, I have my own YouTube channel where I'll be providing a lot of free content. The channel is called Learn Online. So if you, of which the link I have already given at the end of it, you will find it, don't worry about it, where you will be getting free videos on quantitative aptitude, analytical reasoning, and even the verbal ability. We will be discussing about personal interviews, we'll be discussing about group discussions, each and everything. But if you ask me, is everything available right now? No. In fact, we have launched a channel yesterday itself, and there are very few videos. So day by day, you will be seeing more than 5 videos being uploaded. So if you want, you can visit our channel and you can visit our website as well. So I have given all this information here. And if you want to contact me personally, yes, here is my email ID and my Facebook ID, Instagram ID, and my YouTube channel link, as well as my website. But my YouTube channel and the website are still under construction, and you will find a very minimal information right now. But after a week, whatever I told, everything will be available in this YouTube channel and the website. So with this, I would like to conclude my webinar, and again, I would like to thank all the students for being patient, and also I would like to thank a college, BITM, for providing me this opportunity to interact with all the students. Yes, again, we'll be waiting for the Q&A session where you can ask me if you have any questions right away. So with this, I would like to conclude, and over to Bhagyashree. Thank you all.
That is an excellent session, sir. The need of the hour has been addressed so well. Like, I'm certain that the students must have gotten valuable insights on how to widen their scope of being employed. So let's take down the questions. So the first question is from Ramanjaneya T. So he is asking, hi Abhi sir, could you please share some insights on social influencing? And today when social influencing is at all-time high, why must I waste my time studying? I can make video on YouTube on Reels. What is your opinion? Abhilash sir, could you answer that? Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, he'll be back with Q&A sessions. Can you take down the question, sir?
So coming to the Q&A questions. So there are a few questions. What we have here is, so will year back affect in the joining company and hiring process, and what to do? So as I told you earlier, most of the companies doesn't allow year backs, but still there are many companies which doesn't even consider the year backs. That is, you can have 1 year or 2 year, but you must come up with a proper reason why you have that particular year back. And we have someone.
May I read out the question, sir?
Please suggest the book name for placement for preparation. Buddy, as I told you, do not go with any of the books. You need not to purchase any books. Like every content what you require is available in the internet. But still, if you want me to suggest any particular book, yes, of course, you can go with the R.S. Agarwal, where you'll find all the subjects. Like they have a separate book for aptitude, they have a separate book for reasoning, and they have separate book for verbal as well. But I suggest you do not purchase any of the books, but find the content in the online itself. So next question, moving ahead.
So the next question is from Prajwal Gowda, and he's asking how to speak in an interview.
Prajwal is asking how to speak in an interview at face-to-face round, sir. Okay. See, the first thing to attend a face-to-face interview is stop calling someone sir. So including me, you need not to call anyone sir. First thing you need to do when you excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the first thing you need to do when you are entering a hall where you have an interview for face-to-face round. Of course, first thing, you'll be taking a permission to enter and introduce yourself. Introduce yourself in the sense, you need not to talk about everything, just tell your name. And then when you're talking, please mention the interviewer with the name. you need not to call him sir. When you call interviewer with the name, it looks more professional. And when they talk about, the first question usually in any of the interview is, tell me about yourself. So when they see, most of the students does this mistake. Tell me about yourself means they talk about their academic background, like I did my engineering in so and so college, I have so and so percentage, I did my school in schooling in so and so school. Well, guys, you need not to tell any of these things because you have already given your resume to the interviewer. He can find all that information in your CV. Then what do you need to talk? You need to talk about yourself, your personal details, which are not mentioned in your CV. For example, that what you would like to do in your free time and what kind of a company you're looking for and what kind of team member you can be. These are the things which you can talk in the personal interview. You cannot talk about the things which you have already mentioned in the CV. This is the most important rule of face-to-face round. And another thing is, when you come to the final part of the interview, when like this happens in every interview. When interview says, do you have any questions to ask? Most of the students say, no, sir. Thank you. May I know about the result? Please do not ask any of these things. Well, when interviewer asks you if you have any doubts, you have to actually extend the conversation there. Now, how do you do that? Extend the conversation in the sense of not a formal conversation. Rather, you show your interest in the company. Like, what is the future in the company? What are the current projects that we will be working on if we are hired? Or you can talk about a recent project acquired by the company and you can ask the doubts about that project. So this shows to the interview that you are actually very keen about the company and you did your groundwork. So these will actually provide the brownie points in the face-to-face interview.
Right. We have another question asked by Ramanjaniyati. Sir, I'm weak in vocabulary. Where to learn English like you?
See, vocabulary, if you ask me like how to learn vocabulary, you cannot do it in a period of 10 days, 1 month. No, it's never ending learning it is. You keep on learning it. See, as one of my friends said, there are actually 3 stages of vocabulary. So one is active stage, and the second one is a sleep mode, and the third one is a dead mode. When you learn a word, you know the meaning of it. You remember the meaning of it. But when you do not use it over a period of time, you put that word in a sleep mode. That is, you don't get that word into your mind when you want to use it. But when you see the word, you will know the meaning. So this is the sleep mode. And the third mode is a dead mode. Means you have completely forgot about the word. Why this happens? This happens because we learn the word and we will stop it there. We don't put it in the usage. So any word, if you want to remember whatever you have learned, you have to put into use continuously. Only then you can remember the words. And if you ask me, are there any particular ways of learning or any books? Yes, of course. Well, one method that like most of the people suggest you is learn 5 words per a day. Now, trust me, it works very well. It does wonders at the initial stages. But what happens over a period of time, you remember those 5 words, and after 1 month, when you stop using the words, you will forget the initial words which you have already learned. So one of the better ways of learning vocabulary is one book which I suggest is Word Power Made Easy. So you can find this book in most of the bookstores or even the online stores like Amazon and Flipkart. Now, this particular book, which is my favorite, takes you through etymology. Now, etymology is nothing but learning a word through a root word. Now, what are these root words? See, most of the words in English are actually derived from the words of Greek, Latin, and other languages, including our own language. So when you know the root word, the meaning of the root word, based on that, you can learn 5 to 6 different words. So this is called etymology. And the book takes you through the series of exercises. Now, you don't feel like you're reading a dictionary here. And there will be very many funny exercises as well. And apart from that, the book even teaches the important grammar aspects. And coming to the accent or communication. Well, again, by learning just the grammar, you cannot improve your communication. Remember, spoken English and grammar are written English. These two are completely different aspects. Yes, of course, you need to learn grammar, but you cannot learn communication just by learning the grammar. The one better way is to talk every day. Now, it doesn't matter what is your current level. Do not hesitate. You need to talk every day. And apart from that, you can watch a different English movies or English series, but make sure you go through the subtitles. And another way, reading novels. Reading novels is one of the best way to learn English, because when you read a novel, you will get to know how a phrase or a sentence should put in, the format of the sentence. So that's how you learn to make sentences on your own. So even today, many students, so when they have to type something in English, they're very good at it. But while talking, they cannot deliver the same sentence in the same way as they are writing. Why? Because they do not talk much. And of course, I was also a victim of this particular thing. So to overcome that, to talk continuously in English or freely in English, the first thing you need to do is you have to start talking irrespective of where are you standing at the current level. So any other questions?
Yes. We have a question from Sunil that he's asking, if we have backlogs in 8th SEM and after clearing backlog at the end of 8th SEM, joining company on the month of August, will company wait till that? What's your suggestion in this?
No. Usually, companies doesn't wait for you to clear the backlogs. What they do is you have to clear your backlog before the joining date given by the company. For example, let's say few companies give you your joining date within a month of your engineering. A few companies will take 6 months, few companies even take 1 year. But if there is a company which is giving you a joining date just before, just after 1 month of your engineering, they do not accept any of the backlogs. If you want to join the company, you must clear all those backlogs.
Okay, we have another question from Sunil. He's asking any suggestions on attending the HR round?
HR round, I think we have already spoken about.
Yes, he must have listened in the webinar itself. So this is another question from Harsh. Hi, Abhi sir. As today's world is moving at a rapid rate and even PM has urged for Atmanirbhar, can you give an insight about how freelancing works differently than working under someone?
A good question. I've been a freelancer throughout my career. See, how does this freelancing work? For whom it works? Look, I don't suggest you to start your career with freelancing. Now, freelancing is something where you are not bound to work for any particular company. And a company cannot demand your services at like any period of time they want. So you can work with a company only through the period of the contract and only what you are good at. A company cannot make you to learn new things if you are a freelancer. Now, when can you become a freelancer? See, once you join any of the company, and once you reach a certain level in your skills, when you think you're good, for example, let us say a web developer. Now you join a company as a web developer. So maybe after 2 or 3 years, when you feel now you can create your own websites and you don't want to work with any other company, and that's when you can come out of the company and you can work as a freelancer. Yes, there are many companies which accept services from the freelancer. This mainly happens in this web development and even the training industry. But make sure you acquire the required skills and the experience, and then you try for the freelancing. Before knowing anything, do not try to become a freelancing by starting everything from the scratch. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, sir. There's another question from Ramanjneya. He's asking, sir, what's the difference between product-based versus service-based companies? Can I get placed in product-based companies by taking AMCAT or e-litmus test?
Yes, you can actually. See, you take e-litmus or MCAT or CoCubes, anything. All these companies have both product-based as well as service-based. But you need to check in the beginning, like which are the companies the listed in. For example, let's say when I talk about AMCAT, when you visit the website of the AMCAT, so AMCAT lists all the companies that are hiring through the AMCAT. So there you can know whether the company is a product based or a service based, or when you look at that particular company, or when you visit the website of that company. So based on that, you can select. If you want to go for service based, you can select the service based. Or if you want to go for product based, you can select only the calls from the companies which are product based companies.
Okay. So we have a question.
Did I answer?
Yes, sir. So we have a question from Srinivas Reddy. How to improve my presentation skills?
Yeah, Bhagyashree.
Yes, sir. There's another question from Srinivas Reddy.
Any other question?
Yes. He's asking how to improve my presentation skills. Hello.
Okay. We have, which is a good website or YouTube channel or web application. 1 second, please. To improve communication skills. Okay. Excuse me. See, I would not like to mention any particular website or YouTube channel. Okay. So you can actually, when you go to the YouTube, when you just type in how to learn my communication skills, you will find hundreds of videos. Now, how do you select is based on the number of views and the comment section. And do not go with the videos which give you only information in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Yes, there's a common tendency for us while learning, we'll always look for the shorter videos. So rather than that, look for the videos who are having at least 20 minutes of content in every video, and look at the comments. So based on that, you can select the required YouTube channel or any particular website. Any other questions?
We have a question from Vinay. What do you suggest for mechanical student in current situation?
Okay. We have a question like, why should we hire you? And where do you see after yourself after, just a moment, it just went down. Yeah, why should we hire you? And where do you see yourself after 5 years? And what should be the response for this question? Okay. See, when somebody asks you, why should we hire you? You have to come up with the answer, which is your USP, that is unique service product. It means how different you are from others. See, the most common answers are like, I'm very passionate, I'm good at learning, or I'm a quick learner. So these are the common answers given by the students, most of the students. But rather than that, you have to come up with an example. Now, for example, let's say the project what you have done. Now you can tell them what is the role you have done there and how different it is from the others. Now you should impress the interviewer with a certain quality of yours which is different from the others. It is all about how different you are from other people, and this is how you have to, that is what you have to. Now if you ask me what should I answer, now I can tell what exactly I have. For example, if somebody asks me, so why should I hire you? Now I can tell that I mastered in quantitative aptitude, but while I'm teaching that, I will teach without using a single formula. So that's why. Now this is the speciality about my teaching. So I can say something about myself like that. So when somebody asks you why should they hire you, you have to talk about a special quality which others do not have. And another question in that is, where do you look yourself in 5 years? Well, few common and silly answers is, like, people say that I would like to see myself in your seat. Now, these are the blunders actually. Now, what you can tell is, I can see myself in another 5 years. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. We can't hear you again.
Guys, am I audible? Can someone respond?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So when somebody asks you, where do you look yourself in 5 years? Well, there can be different answers given to this. For example, let's say, I would like to master the things what I have started right now. That is one way. Or I would like to reach a certain level of the hierarchy that we have in the company. So that is one way of answering the question. But provided you know what is the hierarchy of that particular company, because every company will have their own hierarchies. So anything else? Any other question?
Yes, we have a question from Vineet. He's asking, could you please share some insights on social influencing? And today when social influencing
Okay, hi Abhilash, what do you suggest for mechanical guys to go with, since there is no scope for mechanical engineers in the market? Well, Akhil, the conception itself is wrong, that you cannot tell there is no scope for the mechanical engineers. Yes, maybe it is less, but we cannot tell that there is no scope. Now, if you see, after this COVID, particularly in our country, the major focus will be on manufacturing. So this is where you guys come into the picture. Now, just a moment. Now, mechanical engineers, see, you have usually two ways of going. In fact, three. One, you can go into your own sector, that is manufacturing, or you can get into automobile industry, or you can even enter IT industry. So let us keep the IT industry as a last option. Now, talking about the current scope, yes, for now, manufacturing has been down, and even automobile industry is hit very hard. You're right, we are right about it. But if you see the recent news articles, our country is gonna, recently Prime Minister has announced they are releasing a package of 1,40,000 crores only for the manufacturing. And apart from that, there are many other companies which are actually moving out of China and looking for the places like India are widening. So this is where the manufacturing actually boosts. Yes, of course, it will take time. Immediately, if you ask me, the opportunities are less, but we cannot tell they are less. For example, Mahindra and Mahindra. So recently, very recently, not even 1 month before that, Mahindra and Mahindra has already mentioned that they're going to start hiring. So likewise, there are other companies whose manufacturing has been stopped, but in the month of July, the manufacturing has actually started to pick up the pace. So like in the PPT which I have mentioned, compared to the June 2020 and July 2020, the sales of the companies in the automobile industry is also increasing. People started. So once the lockdown is completely unlocked, the manufacturing will kickstart again. And that's when you guys come into the picture. So for now, yes, opportunities are less, but you cannot give up the hope. And of course, if not that, you have always the third option that IT industry is still accessible to you. Any other questions?
I see that we have exceeded the session time. All the students can always reach out to Mr. Abhilash for further guidance. Sir, can you please display your details on the screen? I would like to thank Mr. Abhilash sir for taking out this his time and addressing the students of BITM for this amazing session. Sir, Hemant sir, would you like to say something?
So first of all, I congratulate all the participants, those who are patiently seated for almost around 1.5 hours and listen to the words of Mr. Abhilash Verma, who is also an alumnus of our BITM. And yes, we are almost doing very good effort in the Kalyan Karnataka region, though we are settled in the Hyderabad Karnataka region. The training and placement department is completely putting its efforts to make placements in a good counts, and we have almost a track record from the last 2 years in the Hyderabad Karnataka region. And also we have in the same situation, in this situation also, we have started with the new branch called Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning in the institute, where we are taking the first batch for this year. And I thank you, Mr. Abhilash Verma, and I sincerely share your profile to the training and placement department, or placement officer, Mr. Shyam RK. And see, we will look into this activities in the future also. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Over
I
to
think
madam.
there's an audio problem with Abhilash sir. Sir, can you
Yeah,
hear
it
us?
is sorted actually. Yes, I had a problem earlier. I didn't get to know that. That's why I was asking in between, am I audible? But now, yes, it is. And yes, Hemant, thank you. I'll do that definitely.
Okay. Thank you for all the attendees for being patient. And after the webinar ends, you will be redirected to our feedback page where you can give us feedback on this webinar and also suggest any future topics you would like to hear from us. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhagesh.